Donald Trump says U.S. airstrikes on Islamic State militants were originally planned for Wednesday and that he had moved them to Christmas Day as a Christmas present for Nigerian Christians, who he says are being slaughtered by the IS. The U.S. president says the strikes had decimated the camps of jihadists in northwest Nigeria, but Nigeria has denied that the airstrikes targeted a specific religious group.
The U.S. Defense Department offered this image of one of its missile launches aimed, it says, at terrorists with a so-called Islamic State. Local authorities cordoned off the site of the missile impact. According to witnesses, there were no apparent casualties or damaged property. The region is home to a small but growing segment of militants called Lakurawa. It's in the northwest of Nigeria, Sokoto State, just across the border from Niger. The U.S. has reportedly been conducting near-daily surveillance flights over the region. U.S. President Trump announced the strikes on his social media feed, saying the U.S. hit terrorists who had viciously killed primarily innocent Christians. Nigeria's foreign ministry has confirmed the strikes.
This is an ongoing process. We have been working closely with the Americans. This is what we've always been hoping for, to work with the Americans, work with other countries to combat the terrorism, to stop the death of innocent Nigerians.
The reactions on the streets have been mixed.
My fear now is that there's going to be a very big revenge from these terrorists because of what has happened.
For me, it's a welcome development. I mean, for quite some time now, we've had attacks, civilians, attacks on property, kidnappings all over the country, and the government doesn't seem to have the capacity to deal with it.
I'm not in support of what America has done, because it will hurt our country, Nigeria.
And I support Donald Trump so that we come to Nigeria and help us.
Last month, Trump foreshadowed the strikes on Nigerian terror targets with the aim of saving Christians.
If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians.
An array of jihadist groups have waged an insurgency in Nigeria's north since 2009. Analysts point out the victims are mostly Muslim. And Nigerians who now favor the U.S. military move see a benefit for all from short-term U.S. intervention.
For more on this, let's talk to Miriam Adah. She is Assistant Research Manager for Africa at the NGO Armed Conflict Location and Event Data, or ACLED. She's joining us from Abuja. Miriam, President Trump has described this military action as an effort to protect Nigerian Christians. Are Christians being persecuted in Nigeria, as Trump claims?
Hello, thank you very much for having me. So it's not a straightforward question in the sense that you cannot say yes or no to that and answer the complete question. Now, we have people that have been killed because of their religious beliefs. These are isolated cases of people being attacked for preaching or for holding beliefs that are contrary to what another group claims. However, it does not tell the full story. It's just an aspect of it. And our data points otherwise. Our data shows that we have more Muslims being killed in Nigeria than Christians. First of all, we need to note that the areas where these attacks happen are Muslim-dominated areas. You have Sokoto State, the Northwest, and even the North Central. You have a large Muslim population there. And then if you consider the activities of bandits who operate in these regions, then we can see that we have Muslims also getting killed equally. And so it's a case of civilians being attacked or civilians being killed and not necessarily only Christians being persecuted or attacked for their religious beliefs.
Point taken. Can you tell us a bit more about the groups behind these killings that Trump is referring to when he is referring to Christians?
Okay. So in the Northeast, we have the Islamic State West Africa province, popularly called ISWAP, and then we have Boko Haram. However, most of these attacks that we're looking at would be in the northwest of Nigeria, where we have various bandit groups. And one interesting thing about bandit groups is that they do not operate as one central faction or one central unit. There's no coordination among bandit groups as you would have with Islamic militants in the northeast. So with bandits, you have just a band of criminals operating as rogue groups. So you have several groups scattered across these regions. And then particularly for Sokoto State and the location that was, bombed, our data has, from 2024, we have recorded about 56 political violence events in Jabo local government area of Sokoto State, where the airstrikes happened. And all of the 56 attacks were all by Lakurawa Group, who we believe are an offshoot of Islamic State Sahel Province, ISSP, that operates also in Niger Republic, which neighbors Sokoto State as well.
Could you give us a sense of what the consequences of such military action could be?
Well, I do see it as some positives as well. There are a few positives from this military action. And since the Nigerian government has also confirmed its knowledge of the airstrike, it shows that there has been intelligence sharing between the two countries, the governments of the two countries. And so we could also say that this is probably going to open, pathways for the U.S. to sell weapons to Nigeria, which will aid Nigeria's, fight against terrorism, or against insecurity that plagues the country in different ways across different regions. And so I see that as a plus. However, we cannot say that the airstrikes or this airstrike, whose impact has not completely been assessed, because so far there's no casualties, there's no fatalities. So it's we don't have the full picture yet. However, just one airstrike does not tell the full story. So we cannot say that one airstrike or a few airstrikes will quell insecurity in the region or will protect Nigerians from activities of terrorists or bandit groups across the country.
That's Miriam Adah. She is Assistant Research Manager for Africa at the NGO Armed Conflict Location and Event Data ACLED. Thank you so much.